Shadur Sanders' rise isn't just another football story. It's a movement. Picture it. While most athletes chase headlines with seven-figure nil deals and polished PR stunts, he decided to flip the playbook. Instead of going down the predictable path of endorsement deals and staged charity appearances, chose something raw, something real, something that felt bigger than football. He didn't announce it with a press release, didn't loop in his PR team, and didn't run it past coaches or advisors. He acted from conviction, guided by something deeper. "God told me to come out here," he said. And when Shadur Sanders says something like that, you know it's not about clout. It's about purpose. What he did in Cleveland proved that purpose beats publicity every time. Instead of just wiring money to a cause or posing for the camera with oversized checks, Shadur walked into the city with his own agenda. He put thousands of free tickets in the hands of students who would never have dreamed of affording them. This wasn't symbolic. It was transformative. He turned an NFL stadium into a fortress of young voices who didn't just cheer, they fought. They screamed until their lungs burned. They roared until their throats cracked. They made that stadium feel like something more than home field advantage. It was psychological warfare. Engineered by a quarterback who hadn't even played a regular season snap in the NFL yet. Imagine being a defensive lineman staring up at a wall of students who knew they were chosen. Not corporate clients in luxury suites, not season ticket holders sipping cocktails, but kids who had been deciding between groceries and gas money. Suddenly given a ticket to the game by the quarterback himself, they weren't just fans anymore. They were soldiers, disciples, believers in a movement that went beyond the game. And in those stands, you could feel it, the shift from entertainment to revolution. Shadur understood something most athletes miss. Loyalty isn't inherited, it's engineered. By knocking down the financial wall between students and the stadium, he wasn't offering charity, he was recruiting. He was building a base, a movement, an army that the NFL couldn't control. Every free ticket wasn't just access to a game. It was a contract, a promise, a declaration of allegiance that money couldn't buy. And when those students painted their faces, screamed until their voices vanished, and turned the stadium into a cauldron of chaos, Shadur had already won. Meanwhile, the NFL brass watched nervously. Because Shadur Sanders wasn't like other rookies. He was already sitting on over $30 million before even stepping foot into the league. Nil deals, car endorsements, shoe contracts. He had more leverage than veterans who had been grinding for years. And that leverage scared them. His father, Sanders, had already rewritten the rules decades earlier. Forcing guaranteed contracts, juggling baseball and football, and showing players they didn't have to be controlled by the system. Now here was his son, not just carrying the same DNA, but upgrading it for a new generation. The league didn't like it. Anonymous whispers started circulating. "We don't like when guys have brands. Especially not guys like him." That him wasn't about his game. It was about everything else. His independence, his influence, his refusal to bend. They wanted him manageable. They wanted him to fall in line. But instead, he was out here handing out tickets like declarations of war, mobilizing a city before training camp had even closed. And then came the draft. Every scout projected him as a top 10 pick. Every analyst agreed his talent, vision, and leadership were undeniable. But when draft day came, the machine did what it does best. They orchestrated his fall. From projected first-rounder to the 144th pick in the 5th round. That wasn't an accident. That was a message. A punishment for refusing to play by their rules. Teams that desperately needed quarterbacks suddenly found concerns. Scouts, who had praised him weeks earlier, suddenly turned skeptical. The NFL had decided Shadur Sanders needed to be humbled. But here's what they forgot. Can't humble someone born from Sanders' DNA. Falling to the 5th round didn't break him. It lit him on fire. Now, he had names, dates, and receipts. Every team that passed on him became fuel for his revenge tour. Cleveland didn't just draft a quarterback. They drafted a man with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. His preseason debut wasn't just a game, it was a warning shot. The league thought they buried him at 144. What they really did was forge him into something they couldn't control. And now the blueprint he laid down in Cleveland is spreading. Other athletes are watching, realizing they've been chasing the wrong kind of power. Endorsements fade. Followers scroll past. But people last. When you show up in person, when you shake hands, when you hand a ticket to a kid who never thought they'd see the inside of a stadium, you create something money can't touch. Memory, tradition, loyalty. That outlives box scores and highlight reels. That's why this move isn't about free tickets. It's about flipping the entire power structure. The NFL wanted to control Shadur by controlling his draft position, but he showed them that real control doesn't come from contracts or draft slots. It comes from the people who ride for you, who scream your name when the lights are brightest. Cleveland didn't just get a quarterback. They got a leader, a symbol, a living reminder that the system doesn't always win. Other cities are watching. Other quarterbacks are paying attention. The revolution isn't coming, it's already here, wearing number 12 and walking the streets of Cleveland like he owns them. In 20 years, nobody will remember the stat line from his preseason games. Nobody will care that he went 144th in the draft. But those kids in Cleveland will never forget the quarterback who made them feel seen, who handed them tickets that felt more like crowns, who told them without words, "You matter." Shadur Sanders didn't just hand out paper stubs. He handed out ownership stakes in his legacy. He gave away more than access. He gave away belonging. He gave away a piece of himself to a city that had never seen anything like it. And while the NFL tried to humble him, all they did was create their worst nightmare, a quarterback who doesn't answer to them. But to the people, Deion Sanders carved out his place in history with flash, dominance, and unmatched swagger. Shadur's carving out something different, something maybe even bigger. His father showed players how to control their money. His son is showing them how to control their movement. Primetime gave us the spectacle. Shadur is giving us the revolution in the league. The league isn't ready because this isn't about highlight reels anymore. It's about the people in the cheap seats who just got moved to the front row. It's about a new generation of athletes realizing they don't need the league's validation when they've already got the people's. The NFL thought they could bury him at pick 144. But Shadur Sanders is proving that you don't bury a Sanders, you plant him. And when you plant a Sanders, the harvest that follows will shake the system to its core.